Welcome back to the Huddle. This is another solo episode where I highlight our recent interview, and this time it was with Anita Phillips. So if first time listening to the podcast, I appreciate it. My belief is that most of us don't have access to coaching. Most of us small business owners don't have access to people in our corner that can coach us up. I feel like I got a master's degree from the locker room. And so I just want to share some insights. I want to share about my business. I want to share about the person we're interviewing. And today we are talking about Anita Phillips. Listen to this. We talked about big goals. Matter of fact, we talked about huge goals. So we recently interviewed Anita Phillips. She's a lawyer, consultant, business coach, and now a top 10 finisher in the Ultra Trail de Montblanc. You may ask what that is. That's the biggest trail run event race in history. Anita ran this race between the French, Italian, and the Swiss Alps. Think about that. It was 32,000 feet of elevation gain, approximately 110 miles she covered, going up and down the mountains, or 172 kilometers. 110 miles. It's a long way if I have to drive 110 miles. She conquered 110 miles of trail running. She did it in 40 hours and 12 minutes and only rested for 3 of those hours. That's amazing. This girl's a goal getter. Wanted to share some takeaways from my conversation. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to Anita Phillips. And we actually interviewed it the week before she ran, so you could get her mindset. I'm here to talk to you as a recap of how she did that, how she set a big goal and how she went after it. And there's some key takeaways. So the key takeaways we're going to talk about today is self-belief, time investment, structured planning, community support, and mental strength. These are kind of the top key takeaways that Anita talked about. And I'm going to have my reflection on this. So I may be recording this for my team, and they can listen to this, and it's going to help them grow. You may be listening, and you're not on my team, and that's okay. But I believe relationships win, and so I'm not selling you anything today. I have nothing to gain other than I'm doubling down on my knowledge when I interview somebody, and I want to give you this gift right now. So let's talk about what happens when you set a big goal. How do you set a big goal? You know, is there something you're scared of? Have you felt like you've been on a plateau for a while? Have you felt like you kind of maybe aren't stimulated with the work that you're doing right now? Sometimes it takes setting a big goal to do that, right? I always tell my kids, I set big goals because of the person that I have to become that achieves those. I think it was Jim Rohn that said, become a millionaire not for what you'll get, but for who it will make of you. Go write a book, not because you're going to be a New York Times bestseller, but if you're going to write a book, you might as well be a New York Times bestseller. But go write a book because of the creative process and the thinking and challenging your own deep thoughts. So go set a big goal. Here are the key takeaways. Self-belief. She talked about drawing on past experiences to foster confidence is essential for tackling new challenges. Drawing on past experiences to foster confidence is essential for tackling new challenges. I think a lot of people struggle with self-belief. Be honest with yourself. Do you struggle with self-belief? Where in your past have you had some self-belief? Is it when you were younger? You were able to tie your shoes and, your parents or guardians or grandparents, congratulated you and took you to ice cream? Little things. What are the little things in your life that you can draw on where there's self-belief? What have you done in your past? I'm a big believer in do. Do over talking. We all talk about it. Oh, I want to do this. But do. And like I said, when you were a kid, did you do something scary? Did you have to, show and tell? Did you present in class, show and tell? And you were nervous, but you did it. And I think that confidence, that self-belief comes from the feeling when your chest hits the ribbon at the finish line. And what great analogy, we're talking about the Ultra Trail de Montblanc that Anita finished. When your chest hits the ribbon at the finish line, she was a top 10 finisher in her age group. Listen to this, top 10 finisher in her age group. And she just started trail running 3 years ago. Talk is cheap. You got to do stuff. You got to get off your phone, stop scrolling, get off your phone and go do something. I catch myself doing that. I'm not pointing you out. I'm saying myself, I could find myself scrolling and I could see a great video and I feel like I just did that and I didn't. Talk is cheap. You got to do stuff in order to have self-belief. Self-belief comes from repetition. Repetition creates self-belief. What are you doing? We talk about, I've got my Kobe shirt on today. You may not be able to see it if you're not watching this podcast, but I got my Kobe shirt on. One of my favorite brands is called Unseen. My guy Jordan Lopez out in LA has this. And on the back of my shirt, it says, for what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen lasts forever. I believe self-belief comes from repetition. I believe self-belief comes from doing things. And when you want something, it's probably too late. In sales, I'm talking to my real estate team right now. If you want more sales right now, it's too late. The sales that you have today are because of the work you did 6 to 12 months ago. It's the relationships and the connections and the introductions that you met, 6 to 12 months ago. If you don't like where you're at right now, you got to go do something. You got to go take action. When you become more valuable, you attract people who want to be served by you. Let me say that again. When you become more valuable, you attract people who are getting served by you. The more people you serve, the more people that want what you have to offer, self-belief will follow that. I don't think you can have, maybe you can have self-belief before you do something. Maybe that's a false sense of self-belief. That's confidence. You have to have confidence. I was talking to my daughter about the difference between confidence and arrogance. You got to be confident. You got to go out there and play like you're the best. And you got to practice like you have something to prove. But self-belief comes from doing something. And that was one of Anita's big takeaways, is finding self-belief. She's only been doing this for 3 years, trail running. And then time investment. Achieving big goals requires a deliberate and sometimes sacrificial allocation of time. Let me say it again. Achieving big goals requires a deliberate and sometimes sacrificial allocation of time. Anything worth doing takes time. We know this. Food tastes better from, a crock pot than it does a microwave. I remember growing up and, when I was young, we'd go to church and mom put something in the crock pot. We'd come home from church. The house smelled amazing. You don't get that in the microwave. So if you want something great, it takes time. Anything worth doing takes time. Think about what you're going through right now that feels like a sacrifice. Do you feel stuck? What are the plateaus in your life? I can go back and I can look and see my plateaus. We only see people at their peaks. We only get the part that the public sees, the part where the team wins a championship. That's the kind of stuff that we see when a team wins a championship and somebody's hoisting the trophy. But you don't get to see the behind the scenes. That's the time invested. There is a wonderful book that was gifted to me called Mastery by George Leonard, and it talks about plateaus. And I think when it comes to you or a friend or family member, when it comes to somebody winning a sales award or falling into some money or winning the championship, go back to that for a second. That's what we see. We see the sale. Somebody makes a sale. Somebody in their office has a great month. And you see that, and you're like, I want that month. What we don't see is the plateau. Most of the work that is done goes unseen. That's why I wore the shirt today. Most of the work that gets done goes unseen. What are you willing to do to fall in love with time spent on the plateau? I went back and I looked at my sales over 21 years, and there's been about 4 or 5 plateaus. And what I mean by that is I go back and historically look at my data, and it'll show, 3 or 4 years in a row, I was stuck. I didn't grow, right? Everybody wants to grow 10%, 20%. Let's grow sales. Let's grow market share. That's great. But a lot of times you get stuck on the plateau. What do you learn from that plateau? Are you feeling stuck, or are you embracing it? She talked about time investment. Achieving big goals requires a deliberate and sometimes sacrificial allotment of time. How do you look at time? Are you patient? Are you impatient? I'm going to read you an excerpt I have here from Mastery. I believe this was on page 39 or 41. I was looking at this last night. One of my favorite parts here. If our life is a good one of mastery, most of it will be spent on the plateau. If not, a large part of it may well be spent in restless, distracted, ultimately self-destructive attempts to escape that plateau. Let that sink in. I don't know if you're on a walk right now, if you're driving, and you just heard this for the first time. Mastery is a book by George Leonard. It's a quick read. The premise is, if our life is a good one of mastery, mastering something, most of it will be spent on the plateau. If not, a large part of it may well be spent in restless, distracted, ultimately self-destructive attempts to escape that plateau. Think about that. Are you embracing your challenge? Are you embracing the suck? Are you embracing the plateau? Or are you trying to get out of it? That's the crock pot. Man, that's a crock pot. It's so good. That's a great thought analogy. Have you found yourself deconstructing your progress because you weren't patient? You wanted the prizes over procedures. You wanted the ribbons over the routines. You wanted the object over the lesson. When you commit to the time it takes to achieve big goals, you will ultimately never lose the lesson. Think about this. When you commit to the time it takes to achieve big goals, you will own it forever. That process. I remember just, going through the recession, financially, there was a lot of lack of confidence, but you know what I gained? I stayed with it. I got stuck on that plateau and I embraced it. And it was hard. It was one of the hardest times. It was right when my wife started staying at home with the kids. We bought a new house. It was bigger than ever before. I changed companies, and here's the recession. It was hard. I do not want to go back. And we bite, fight, scratched, and clawed our way through it. And the lessons that I learned, I now own those. There's a lot of things that I do really, really well because of the challenging times that I went through. And that's what she talked about, a time investment. Achieving big goals requires a deliberate and sometimes sacrificial allotment of time. She talked about structured planning. Breaking down large tasks into manageable steps can transform daunting goals into achievable actions. I'm going to make this one really quick. Hire a coach. Find a mentor. Find a leader. Don't do this by yourself. When I think of structured planning, I think of do not go it alone. Real estate is an isolating business. If you're on my team right now, one of our core values is win together. If you're not on my team right now, you know that real estate is an isolating business, and I do not believe greatness can happen in isolation. I believe you need a coach, a mentor, a leader, somebody to help you with structured planning. Tiger Woods said, I can't see myself swing. That's why I hired a coach. The greatest golfer of all time. I hire a coach because I can't see myself swing. There are several ways to structure your plans. You can structure them by time or by activities. And you can get help with this. One of the best coaches that I've had, and I've hired a lot of coaches, but one of the lessons that I've learned is how to mind map, how to brainstorm, how to take ideas and put them on paper so that I can structure my time and my activities. What's the next most logical step? And that's structured planning. You might be listening to this podcast because of the things we say and people we talk to. It helps you unlock something or see something in a new way. We believe relationships win. So I'm going to take my relationships, bring them on the podcast, and we're going to dive into it. And somebody's going to help you unlock something in your mind. And it takes structured planning. And this is a great, great time for you to hire a coach. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's your faith. Maybe it's your business or your finances, right? I mean, there's so many different avenues of growth. The next one, I love this, community support. Building and relying on a network of support can significantly enhance the journey towards achieving goals. Read that again. Building and relying on a network of support can significantly enhance the journey towards achieving goals. What did I just say? Hire a coach. Hire a coach. That's part of your community. But part of the value is go build a community. The single greatest asset I have in my life is my community. It's my family, friends. Number one, my inner circle. My community is my inner circle, my family and my friends. Who's your community? In business, we have a database. And that's a list of relationships, the people that we've served in the past. Do we get it right every time? No. Do we try? Absolutely. Our intentions are pure. We're doing everything we can to build community and to serve community. I want to serve. Helping others win is the fastest way to grow community. Think about that. Helping others win. People ask me all the time, how'd you do it? And so I got tired of asking how. I got tired of answering the question, how did I do it? And I came up with an acronym. How, H-O-W, help others win. That's how I do it. And the more I help others win, the more I'm blessed. So my focus is helping other people win. I'm here to help you win. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Do me a favor, screenshot this. If this helps you, screenshot it, tag me, so that way I know you're listening to it and I can produce more content just like this. So if you could do me a favor, screenshot this episode, tag me on social, and I'll see it and I'll know hey, people liked it. I'll do more of that. And if nobody does that, then I guess I'll change it up a little bit. But community is important. Helping others win is the fastest way to grow your community. Because when you set a big goal, a goal that needs more than who you are to accomplish, you get to tap into the community you've built. Think about like a bank account, right? You make deposits and withdrawals. Make sure you don't overdraft on your community. You need more deposits than you do withdrawals. But making a withdrawal is the oxygen you need to chase your dreams. Say that again. Making a withdrawal is the oxygen you need to chase your dreams. Your dreams need oxygen. You need air to breathe. You got to make deposits into your community. But man, does it feel good when other people help you, right? And you need that. You need the community. I love that part. Number 5, mental strength. Developing a mental fortitude to endure discomfort is crucial in both sport and business. I'll read that again. Developing the mental fortitude to endure discomfort is crucial in both sports and business. This is not a sports podcast. I got a master's degree from the locker room. All right, I'm a college athlete, Division I basketball player, and I got into business right away. And guess what? I found out I got a master's degree from the locker room. But developing a mental fortitude to endure discomfort is crucial in both sports and business. Probably one of the most important lessons I ever learned early on. I didn't know how to frame this. I knew this, but I didn't know how to frame it. My guy Colin Henderson talks about the mind gym. The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. Mental strength is so important. Here's a quote from David, Anita's husband. This was during the race. You could follow him on social media. We followed him. She did a great job, but David had a quote. And this was towards the end of the race. She's at the last aid station before the last hard climb. A short stop in the interest of going full gas to the finish. Just enough time for her support crew to administer 300 milliliters of hot tea, some antacid tablets, and a stern talk to. Loving words, of course. I can only describe it thus. She is past eating, past drinking. She's past caring, and she is past thinking, and is firmly in the realm of doing. Hashtag Zen, hashtag Pain Cave. What your body has to go through to trail run almost 110 miles up for almost 2 days with no sleep and only 3 hours of rest in between. And acid tablets, hot tea, a stern talk to. She's past eating, past drinking, past caring, or thinking, and is firmly in the realm of simply doing. How many times do you just do something without thinking? Why is it when you or I are going through something hard, we typically focus on what's hard? We don't focus on the finish line. We focus on what's hard. I'm going through this right now. It's really hard. What are you going through that's really hard right now? It probably consumes you. It consumes your mind. And we tend to focus on what sucks in the moment. In Mastery, the book I referenced earlier, it wasn't until the author realized that growth actually happens in the plateau. It happens when we feel stuck. So let's embrace that suck. Like Kara Lawson of Duke says, handle hard better. Let's handle hard better. We're talking about big goals here. We're not talking about, hey, it's Tuesday and I'm tired. You know, this applies to it's Tuesday and I'm tired. It's Friday and I'm ready for the weekend. It applies to that. But this applies to go set a big goal. Let's look forward to the plateau of life. Can you embrace that? I want to congratulate Anita Phillips for finishing 10th in her division at UTMB. Such a beautiful soul inside and out. I know Anita because her brother Greg left his home country in England to come and live with my family in America. So we share a brother. Shout out to Greg and Veronica, their mom. But Anita did something so incredible. She's only started trail running 3 years ago. 3 years from now, what are you going to do 3 years from now? It may take 3 years for you to set this big goal and go get it. But here's the framework. What are you going through now that is going to help shape you, mold you, and make you better? Let's embrace that together. You know why? Because I'm cheering for you. In this podcast, we believe relationships win. In the game of life, relationships win. Anita was a phenomenal guest. We took a break this summer, collected my thoughts, and we've got a great group of people coming on the podcast. We're going to bring this to you. So what we talked about today, we talked about the key takeaways of setting huge goals: self-belief, time investment, structured planning, community support, and mental strength. Go out there and be great, because I'm cheering for you.